So I've had a couple requests to show how to do this problem from section 12.5. It's number 5, and there's others that are like it that follows. And so one of the questions came as a student came to me and visited me during the support hours. Another one just came by email. And so I just thought it would be nice to make a video for this for others that may discover that they are not quite sure how to proceed with this question. So I've copied the question and the table that appear in the homework. You may not have the exact question in terms of what it's specifically asking for, but it'll be very, very similar. And so if we read the problem, and I'll just highlight it here, the unaccompanied table includes only countries in the top 10 in a certain year for both production and consumption of energy. Then it speaks about what units it's using. What is the z-score for the country C's population? We need to be focused only on population. So let me go back out. Notice that the data set includes population, which is in the first column, production, the second column, and consumption, the third column. Why it has all this data is so that it can ask different students different questions with the same data. Our question that we received was about population, so we are only going to be looking at the population as we go through here. And so it's like the other numbers don't exist. So remember what it wants. It wants the z-score. Let's see, oops, I'm in a highlighter. Didn't realize that. So let me get out of a highlighter mode. First erase these guys and come in here. Remember what we want. We want the z-score for country C's population. So we see country C there. It has 145. So remember the z-score formula is to take the value that you care about, subtract away the mean of the setting, and divide by the standard deviation. In this case, we only know one number so far. We know that country C's population is 145, but we don't know the average of the populations, and we don't know the standard deviations. And so this question has built-in side work. So because they don't flat out hand us the mean and the standard deviation, we need to go find the mean. So we're going to be looking at what you were doing in, I think, 12.1, finding the measurements of center. You're going to find x bar by adding up all the data and dividing by n. Some of you are using StatCrunch. I got that through the weekly check-ins, and so you're welcome to do it that way. But whatever way in the previous sections you were finding the mean, you need to do that. And so I found the mean before starting this video just for time's sake, but you're going to add up all the data, divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, you're only looking at the population. So there's 5 pieces of data in the population. I wish I could circle that picture, but it's not letting me. So the only parts that are in our data are the population numbers of 1372, 325, 145, 26, and 1288. This is what's in the population. Now, where's country C? 145. And so that's why the 145 is up here, right? We need to figure out relative to the others, how does 145 sit? And a great way to do that is the z-score. So just wanted to stress that you're not looking at production. You would only look at production if the question itself had said production instead of population, but it doesn't. Okay. Oh, it is letting me right in there. So I don't know why I couldn't do that before, but that word right there is why we're focused only on that column. If that said consumption, we'd be looking at the consumption column, but it says population. And so that's what we're going to be focused on, just that column. And why 145? Because we were focused on country C, right? So from that country C, we get the 145. And from the population, we know to use that first column. Hopefully that makes sense. So if something changed, like if that was country A, we'd have a different number. But if it was country A's population, we'd still be using the first column. If it was country C's consumption, we'd be using the third column. So let me back that all out of there. Okay, so that my picture stays the same up there. Awesome. So I ran the mean of these 5 numbers, and it came out to be 631.2. Then you're going to use whatever you did in the previous section to find the standard deviation, but you have to hand calculate that as well. And so we got to hand calculate the standard deviation. I forget what section that is. I want to say 12.3, but it could be 12.4. Let me get a pen again. And so I calculated S, and when I ran it through, I got a 647.415399. I just kept everything. You're welcome to round it. They are asking for the answer. I guess I don't have that here, but when you went down to the answer box, it wants the answer rounded to the nearest tenth. So you could round this, I suppose, and still be okay, but I kept it all. So these are the numbers that I need in order to do the original question. So remember, the original question is right here. This is all side work. The original question was, hey, let's find this z-score. Well, that's great. I know country C's population is 145, but nobody told me what the mean and standard deviation is. Shoot, I got to go do that lengthy work from the previous sections. Now that I know that side work, I continue on and say, hey, this is 145. And remember, we just figured out by adding up the data and dividing by n, by using StatCrunch, by using a calculator that can store the data, whatever you did in the previous sections, you come in here and realize, well, these two red numbers was what I got out of my side calculations from previous sections. And when you run that, you get I'm going to run out of room there, so I'm going to come down here. You get the answer, let me put it in blue. Oops. You get the answer negative 0.751449534. You're just running the z-score like you were in the previous sections. The problem here is that they didn't just flat out hand you the mean and standard deviation. So remember, the answer that's wanted, they want us to round to the nearest tenth. I think why they're having you round to the tenth is to account for any rounding that you might have done with the standard deviation. Should be kind of a wash. And so if I round to the tenth, I'm rounding to this spot, so I keep my 0 point, and I see that there's a 5 after that 7, so negative 0.8 is the answer to the question. So you're looking at a big list of data, but it is very focused on just that population size, right? So we're only looking at the population as we go in there because of the question. We're focused on country C's value because of the question and wanting to know how 145 compares to the rest of these guys. So hopefully that helps in your endeavors. It seemed like the best way to answer that type of question. So if you have questions or concerns, just drop into one of the Zoom sessions. If you need to, you can send me an email as well. Hope it goes well. Thanks.